it feels like a hostage situation when you
Yeah.
have to talk to your family overseas and it's like you don't know who they are and you have to create this immediate bond. And it was something I always felt as a kid, and it was so fun to get to do it.
Personally, speaking as like a big South Park fan, I want to know how was it like collaborating with like VPAD Brady, co-creating the series with her.
It was great because I mean I think like it's also that's obviously as a kid like one of my favorite shows, and I think that she was so good at just helping me expand the world and making it as crazy as possible. What I love about stand up is you kind of hang in the green room and then you just make all these crazy jokes with people, and I think Pam has that same exact energy where one little thing all of a sudden grows into a really big thing, and then before you know it someone's animating it.
This is like your big foray into doing voice acting. How is that like to be in the booth, getting to do, two separate voices, like finding your comedic voice in those voices?
It was really fun. I mean, like, finding the Rumi voice was really great. My sister Reem is a producer on the show and worked with me on the show. She actually had pulled up all these videos of me when I was a kid because I was trying to find the voice, and I used to make these little video book reports, and she kind of found these videos and she was like, hey, you had this really funny voice when you were 12 and you should just copy this voice. And so she had kind of pulled all this stuff for me and I listened to it and I was like, oh yeah. And so I kind of just copied my young self and got really like raspy and kind of found it.
None of us know what we're doing. We're all insecure and scared all the time, but I think it's just about showing compassion.
Finding the voice to play Hussein, the dad, it was really fun, and trying to find something that felt emotional and raw and not like I was making fun of anybody, but that it kind of had this manic sincerity, where he is like any parent. He's kind of this personification of a parent's worries, and it's bursting out of him at every moment.
Tell me how the decision into making this somewhat into a musical series, because there you have so many great numbers that are very emotional and also well sung too.
It honestly came from being at this studio in Brooklyn, just looking over to my side and seeing all these guitars on the wall. And, in high school, I grew up in Jersey. So I grew up in the like emo music scene. So we all kind of learned a little bit of guitar and tried to straighten our hair and do all that stuff. And so I kind of felt, oh man, like I haven't played guitar in so long. And I started just doing it as him and kind of finding this character. And it was really exciting. And I kind of started by writing the Halal Card song and then felt, oh, I want to write the theme song. And then it turned into this whole element of the show.
What was it to round up these different voice actors who are like big early 2000s folk, because you have Alia Shawkat and Mandy Moore, which I thought was hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, it was really cool. Everyone in this cast is people that I've just been fans of and I've always wanted to kind of work with. And a lot of them were like my first call for the role. Pretty much all of them, actually. I was really floored. I feel like everyone we called that, this was like our first go out, and it all happened really quickly and people were excited to do it. And I think it shows in their performance and kind of what they bring to it. And so it was a really exciting cast to put together, from Alia, Kieran Culkin, Mandy, Tim Oliphant, and then also even like Selma Hindi, who plays Sharia, who plays the mom. She was our writer's assistant in the room, and she'd always be saying the lines and it would sound really funny. And then it just was such a natural, like, hey, you should play this role. So a lot of it was really organic in how it came together.
Each episode opens up on a representation disclaimer, which I think is so funny. Yet there's so much relatability within the series. Like, how was it for you and your team to like craft something that's so personalized in your experience, yet making it feel so universal?
I think that sequence could be maybe like one of my favorite things in the first season, because it was like, I've never really seen that feeling. It feels like a hostage situation when you have to talk to your family overseas and it's like you don't know who they are and you have to create this immediate bond and you're on the phone and it just the pressure feels so high. And it was something I always felt as a kid, and it was so fun to get to do it. And I think whether it's people who are kids of immigrants that will relate to this, or I think really anyone in America will relate to the drive that this family has to just survive and make money and stay in the neighborhood that they're in and keep the lights on. There's so many touch points that exist without needing to water anything down. And I think that's something that I've definitely learned over the years. And then I think kind of gets to come in full force here too, But really everything in the show is just this beautiful combination of everyone in the room being like, yo, remember that? Like that was crazy. And then you kind of look at the moment that we're in this week and you go, wow, I mean, Muslims are almost on the brink of being like, hey, leave us alone. We're number one, Happy Family USA. I mean, that is actually what's happening in this country, to the point where I'm almost like, are they going to bring back the Tanner scale? Like, it kind of feels like we're like tracking towards in this really wild cycle. Speech is becoming so incredibly contested in this country at this moment. I'm almost like, is there any way to even talk about this stuff without like cartoon characters at this point? Because things are so and really kind of, it's unpredictable, like what direction we're barreling in. And to get to kind of cover these things in a cartoon, I at least hope, it'll be clear, hey, we're trying to find a respite in all of this. This is not designed to be inflammatory. It's actually an invitation to talk about things that were forgotten and things that at this point now are currently being lived out.
Well, looking to the future, can you give us a little taste about Mountainhead? Like, how was it working with Jeremy Armstrong and being in Utah with your incredible cast?
Jesse Armstrong's writing is something that really, I think he's brilliant. I think he's a genius. I'm a diehard Succession fan. So the idea to like get to jump into his first film, I was like, yes, like where do I go? And turns out that was Utah. And so, we had this really great experience shooting a film for this moment. And the fact that it's coming out, I just wrapped last week and it's coming out in 6 weeks is pretty wild. His decision around doing it at this pace is incredibly deliberate and purposeful. And I think, I'm really excited for people to get to, experience it.